I am joined by Democrat Mark Temens, a construction designer specializing in accessibility, and Libertarian Josh Gerber, an agricultural chemical sprayer. Republican Thomas Jones could not make it today. We do have rules to go over. We have 3 issues. Each of you will get to respond and offer a rebuttal to your opponent's response. Responses will be limited to 45 seconds, rebuttals 30 seconds. To determine who answers first, we are using alphabetical order of your last names for the first 2 questions and a pre-debate coin flip for the third. So based on that, Josh Gerber, the first question will go to you. And the first issue is bridges and roads and the repairs that are desperately needed right now. They are funded by the state's fuel taxes, which are some of the highest in the nation. Is there a better way to fund repairs?
As far as I can see, there's no better way to fund the repairs because as a libertarian, we believe in a usage fee. And if you pay for gas tax, you're paying for that tax to then go to the roads that you drive on. So when it comes to taxes, you're basically paying for that usage of those bridges and those roads. I believe that it's way too high. It's way too high. I think it's the highest in the country. So I think we need to go a little bit more to the middle. As far as how much we pay in gas tax, but I also think we need to be a little bit more localized with bridges. Let local municipalities pay for bridges in their areas.
Mark Temens, same question to you.
Yeah, so I'm a working person. I don't like paying for gas any more than anybody else does. What I really, really don't like is when my taxes are collected and they're not being used properly, right? So, the gas tax, I believe, half of it goes to roads and bridges that are not the turnpike, and then the other half is split between the state police and the turnpike. And I love Pennsylvania. I don't say bad things about Pennsylvania typically, but we all drive on these roads, and we see you can't not notice, and then we have studies that come out that find a vast majority of our bridges are unsafe, so we're not investing like anything else. When you don't invest in your infrastructure, you get broken things and more bills. So what I really want to see is less privatization of our tax dollars and, better roads being built with them.
Mr. Gerber, you have a 30-second response.
Well, my response to that is the private sector can always do better than the government can do. And history has shown that. When the private sector takes on a project, they do it better than the government has ever done. So actually, the more of a community doing something for themselves is usually more efficient with their money and more beneficial to that particular community than just throwing money from a higher government power.
And 30 seconds to you.
I have to disagree as far as the history of that one. What we do know as far as what private industry will do is to pay lower wages. They will not pay benefits. They will lock the doors of factories. They will employ child labor. So it's easy to say that the private industry always does it better than government. But in fact, historically, the government's the only thing that has protected us from the abuses of corporations as workers. And that's why I support, a strong labor movement.
Our second topic here is the rising cost of health care. Is there anything state lawmakers can do to lower costs without lowering care? Mark Temens first.
Yeah, you bet. So this is what I do for a living, right? I design home improvement projects for wheelchair accessibility, helping folks get into and out of their homes, move about their homes more independently, right? And what we have seen, specifically due to decisions made in the Pennsylvania General Assembly, is that the Medicaid money that used to be spent on some of the projects that we'll do, one-time expenditures helping folks, with a wheelchair ramp or stair lift or an accessible bathroom, that money is now being dispersed by insurance companies. It's another example of the privatization of our public tax dollars, right? And I'll tell you a secret, nobody gets anything anymore, right? But that money was never charity, that's an investment, because now those folks are moving into nursing homes and the same Medicaid money is being spent every month to pay for that. So we are wasting our money now.
Mr. Gerber, same question for you.
Well, he painted a perfect picture of why government healthcare doesn't work. It's a mess, and the money just gets pulled everywhere. So what you should do is you should have private insurances and no government involved at all, and let transparency run free, let the free market run free, let there be competition. there's no reason there should be one hospital on one side of the street paying $1,000 for a procedure and the other on the other side of the street charging $2,000 for the same procedure. There needs to be transparency in prices, and there needs to be equal competition, and you can go to any hospital with any insurance, and that needs to be all done privately.
Mr. Timmons, would you like to?
I mean, we literally did that. You know, we did that through the 90s and through the early 2000s. We let the private insurance market do whatever it wanted to our healthcare system, and that is exactly why we are where we are right now. You know, you're always going to have public tax dollars spent, whether it's, you know, you're always going, half of the babies born in this state are born on Medicaid, you know? So, I mean, the amount of money that we're already investing in healthcare, people don't realize. We need to make sure that we're spending it wisely.
Mr. Gerber, you have 30 seconds to respond.
What about transparency, though? With the transparency when it comes to prices, when it comes to pharmaceuticals, the government has their hands in that as well. So what would you say to that? It's a big issue.
Real quick. I mean, I did hear that the private market always does things better, but I mean, realistically, the United States military, the United States, you know, industry as far as funding it's always been an integrated system, private industry and government working together, you know. And, sorry.
Let's move on to our third topic, if you're okay with that, since we did get some extra time there. All right, our third topic deals with midterm election. There's a lot of interest in that, obviously. So what changes, if any, need to be done to ensure fair and secure elections in Pennsylvania? And because Mr. Gerber did win the coin flip, we will start with you.
So our elections, everyone needs to believe that they are free and fair, and there's nothing going on at all. And I think the best way to do that is to go back to paper ballot only, and no mail-in vote, no mail-in ballots, only absentee. And that is to restore confidence in our voters. Right now, there is very little confidence on the Republican side that their votes count. So to get them back, to get them to feel like the vote is fair, we need to go back to paper ballot. We need to not do mail-in ballots, only absentee ballots, which is very different from mail-in ballots.
Mark Timmons, the same question for you.
I am always going to come in on the side of, if we need reform to our elections, we need more participation. We need more people voting. We need higher voter turnout. And I'm never going to support anything that decreases voter turnout and that decreases participation in our democracy, right? So other states have been using mail-in ballots for decades. You know, we could actually have a mail-in ballot system. Half of the votes in our primary were cast by mail-in ballots. Republicans and Democrats and Libertarians and Independents, everybody uses them, right? I'm going to tell everyone, I mean, our elections are safe. It is statistically non-existent to see, you know, voter fraud in our elections as they exist.
Mr. Gerber, 30 seconds.
I'm not saying that they're not safe. What I'm saying is there's a big difference between a mail-in ballot and a ballot that you actually request to have, and that you're not just sending out ballots to addresses when you don't even know those people live there anymore. And that's what happened in 2020, sadly, and that cannot happen.
Those ballots can't be counted. I mean, everybody gets an individual barcode, and that is the only thing that is counted by, you know, be it mail-in ballots. What happens is the Democrats and the Republicans, they get a bunch of lawyers, they sit in a room, and they open up every single one of those mail-in ballots, and they look at them, and they count them. I mean, it is the mail-in ballot process. I'll say this before I run out of time. We don't have drop boxes in Lebanon or Lancaster County, and that is an absolute shame when it comes to these mail-in ballots.
And we are out of time. Thank you both so much for being here with us today, and more of these debates will continue through the election season.